internet. Well, there I was, deep underground, shielded from the relentless downpour from up above. I was sitting in my recreational room, pondering over the incomprehensible cartridge that laid on the table before me. Just what exactly was Knuckles Chaotix? Why did these creatures tether themselves together with rings? Why had it never shown its face in over 3 decades? What did Neutrogic mean? Seriously, I've been going through the dictionary for the past hour and I can't find it. So show of hands here, who remembers the Sega 32X? Wrong answer. After Sega made bank with the Genesis, it seemed like every future piece of hardware they put out sold less and less in comparison. This was most evident with the attachments they made to extend the life of that original Genesis. Sure, the Sega CD had some FMV games that were impressive at the time, but then you had the 32X. Not only did it release only a couple months before the Saturn, but it didn't really have any notable exclusives. There were some pretty impressive ports of more 3D-based games available, but that's all they were, ports. Most companies were too busy making 5th generation games to do anything with the previous generation add-on. But the Sega CD had an original Sonic game that not only showed off its hardware potential, but also pushed units. Would the 32X have performed a bit better if it received the same treatment? Well, we'll never know because it got a Knuckles game instead. You see, the developers of Sonic CD were working on a prototype with Sonic and Tails tethered together when they decided to bring back Mighty the Armadillo, the recently introduced Knuckles, and a few more for a big 32X game. Most people recognize these characters from Sonic Heroes and Beyond, but they actually predate Knuckles Chaotix. There was a crocodile in Sonic 1 concept art, Charmy was in the manga, and Espio, he just sorta showed up. There was a lot going into this game, but was it possible for all of it to be tied together? Well, here goes nothing. There's not much in terms of story here. Robotnik takes over a new island and builds an amusement park called Neutrogic High Zone on top of it. And it's up to Knuckles and his new friends to work together and save the day. And I mean work together. At all times you have another character bound to you, and if one gets too far away, they snap back together. Because rubber banding is an extremely popular mechanic among players. A lot of people say this sort of thing doesn't belong in a Sonic game, but to me it's similar to CD's time travel in that it takes a key aspect of the original and emphasizes it, this time being the mastery of the physics engine. By slingshotting each other precisely, you can get a crazy amount of momentum to dash up a slope, ascend platforms, and even fly. There's a button to recall your partner if you get stuck that takes 10 rings, and I never had to use it. No, what really gets on my nerves with Chaotix is... Aw, dang it. There's a surprising amount of luck-based mechanics in Knuckles Chaotix. Everything from picking partners, to levels, to the final boss is all random. As you might have guessed, it's not very fun. I don't mind it as much with the stages, you're making progress regardless of where you land, but it makes Metal Sonic's first phase way longer than it should be, and that's not to mention the character selection. Most characters have useful abilities, but then you have Heavy and Bomb, two of Robotnik's badniks. These two exist exclusively to make your life worse, either slowing you down or actively harming you. Honestly though, I think the biggest thing holding Knuckles Chaotix back is the hardware it was released on. One big thing that the game does is growing and shrinking sprites. There are monitors that do this to the characters, but aren't very useful aside from that, and I can't stand that they made the rings do this so you can't get them back. Especially considering that you need them to reach the special stages, which I'm pretty mixed on. It's not as punishing as some other special stages, but it's a lot easier to run out of time compared to Sonic CD. I wouldn't really recommend getting all the Chaos Rings, since all it does is give you a better ending with Sonic and Tails appearing. Surprisingly, Amy Rose shows up too when you put a code into the color test and check out the sound test. But despite all of that, I do still appreciate Knuckles Chaotix on the grounds of aesthetics alone. Each level and environment invokes that big, colorful vibe that I initially thought only Sonic CD was able to pull off. And the soundtrack for the game is indeed cool, sweet, and catchy. Not to mention the second phase of the final boss, Metal Sonic Kai. Those jagged teeth, those massive claws, he completely engulfs the Neutrogic High Zone in flames in the bad ending. It's pretty metal, for lack of a better word. It really is unfortunate that this game was locked onto the 32X, since it not only led to some lesser design choices, but also a lack of re-releases and general accessibility, so not a lot of people have gotten the chance to play it. And I still don't know what Neutrogic means.